After a huge win against a super talented Clippers team that's arguably the favorite to come out west, the Knicks have now won 13 of their last 15 games and still are placed at the fourth spot in the East. This is an incredible position for the Knicks to be in, considering that ESPN had them winning just 22 games right before the season started. At 38 and 30, the Knicks already have 16 more wins than what ESPN predicted, and that's with 4 games still left. This would be the first time the Knicks have made the playoffs in 7 years, with the last time being in 2013 when the Knicks won 54 games with Carmelo Anthony. So this video is going to break down how the Knicks are obliterating expectations this year. But before we continue, if you like content like this, please like the video and subscribe, as your support is very much appreciated. Now let's get started. The addition of Derrick Rose has been an absolute godsend for this team. To really demonstrate how impactful Derrick Rose has been for New York, the Knicks have a record of 24 and 10 when D Rose plays this season, and a record of 16 and 20 without him. He gives the Knicks some high-level point guard play that they desperately need. He's not the same freak athlete that was dunking over people during his MVP year, but he's still quick and has a slick handle, and he's able to get to the basket and finish pretty much anytime he wants. He's also got a nice mid-range game that he likes to get to, and while his outside shot was once a huge weakness in his game, he can really hit them at a consistent rate when he's wide open. He's also a much more unselfish player than he's been in years past. He's much more willing to kick out to open shooters or dump it to open players at the rim when he draws help defense. The high-level scoring and playmaking that Rose brings has been a huge part of the Knicks' recent success. You really have to give the Knicks front office credit for trading for him, especially when you consider how little they gave up. The Knicks only traded Dennis Smith Jr., a draft bust who wasn't even in the rotation, and a measly second-round pick in exchange for Rose. To get a player who's having that type of impact for such a small return is an absolute steal. Of course, you can't talk about the Knicks' success without mentioning Julius Randle. He's undoubtedly been the main driving force for the Knicks this entire season. Just a year ago around this time, many Knicks fans, myself included, wanted Randle gone, but my God, what a difference a year makes. He's averaging 24 points, 11 boards, and 6 assists per game while hitting 42% of his threes. If maintained, Randle will become one of just 3 players in league history, alongside Larry Bird and Nikola Jokic, to average 20, 10, and 5 while shooting over 40% from 3. Needless to say, Randle is having a monster year. He's an unstoppable scorer that can put the ball in the hoop on all 3 levels. He was a horrible 3-point shooter last year, but this season, he's turned himself into an absolute sniper. He's really good at creating space off the dribble to get a shot in the mid-range, and he's also good at scoring at the basket. But what's really taken Randle's game to the next level has been his playmaking. He's now extremely unselfish, very willing to kick the ball out of double teams and find the wide open man. That scoring and playmaking, combined with his elite rebounding, makes Randle a legit threat for a triple-double on any given night. Randle already has made his first All-Star team, but the way he's playing and impacting winning, he really deserves an All-NBA team selection as well. He's undoubtedly been the primary factor behind the Knicks' recent success. Next, we're going to talk about second-year player RJ Barrett. Barrett has made a huge leap this year, but unfortunately, that's gotten overlooked by most NBA fans. He's the second leading scorer on a legit playoff team at just 20 years old, currently averaging 18 points per game. But when it comes to talking about the top young players in the league, his name rarely gets mentioned. He's not only putting up good numbers, but he's doing so many things on the court at a high level that impacts winning. For starters, RJ's outside shooting has improved by leaps and bounds. Last season, RJ only shot 32% from 3. This season, RJ is shooting 40% from outside. He's legit become automatic when he's wide open, especially from the corner. RJ's improved shooting has also helped to improve the Knicks' spacing on offense. His shooting across the board has gotten much better. He's now gone from 61% from the free throw line in his rookie year to now shooting a decent 74% from the free throw line. not great, but not a liability when he's shooting free throws anymore. The fact that RJ has been able to improve his weaknesses by so much in just one offseason really goes to show how hard he works. His defense has also been huge for the Knicks as well. He's got good size at 6'7" with a 6'10" wingspan, and he plays with effort on that end of the court. Thibodeau often tasks RJ with defending the other team's best player, and he's more than capable of holding his own defensively. He's great at sliding his feet to stay in front of defenders, and even if you do get by him, RJ will get back in position defensively to contest the shot. Here was a crucial defensive possession against the Clippers in crunch time. Here, RJ picks up Paul George drives, RJ stays in front, and he's able to contest the shot and force a miss. That's excellent defense against one of the top players in the league in Paul George. In just his second year, RJ is already a pretty good two-way player. His contributions on both ends of the floor are a huge part of the reason why the Knicks are winning. Next, you can't discuss the Knicks' success without talking about their top-ranked defense. The Knicks rank 4th in the league in defensive efficiency, which is a huge jump from their 23rd ranking last year. The Knicks' ability as a team to generate stops and force teams to shoot poorly is a big part of their success as a team all year. In their recent win over the Clippers, the Knicks held them to just 100 points. The Clippers rank 3rd in the league in offensive efficiency and average 114 points per game, so forcing them to just 100 points in a victory is a really big deal. The Knicks' play on defense has a lot to do with coaching. Thibodeau set the tone early in training camp with his emphasis on playing hard on the defensive end. From day one, he set a defensive culture that is carried on throughout the entirety of the season. If we look at some stats, the Knicks rank number 1 in opponents' three-point percentage, holding teams to just 34% shooting from three, number 1 in opponents' points per game, holding teams to just 105 points per game, and number 1 in opponents' field goal percentage, holding teams to just 44% shooting. Most of the credit for this Knicks defense undoubtedly belongs to Tibbs. If we look at the Knicks roster, there isn't a ton of all NBA level defensive players. The Knicks do have a bunch of good defenders, but not a bunch of guys who are super elite. Thibodeau has just done a great job of getting these guys to buy in and play hard defense as a team. He did the same thing with the Chicago Bulls, where they were always a top 5 defense under him, so this really shouldn't be too surprising. The most important defensive player for the Knicks has been Nerlens Noel. He ranks 3rd in the league in blocks per game, currently averaging 2.2 a game. At 6'11", with a long 7'4" wingspan, he's extremely difficult for driving players to score over. He's also got very quick hands, which leads to a lot of steals. Get careless with your dribble around him, and he's picking your pockets. Along with his 2 blocks a game, he also averages over a steal a game, which is extremely rare for a big man. Because he's anchoring a top 5 defense while putting up elite numbers, Noel definitely deserves votes for all defensive team. The last factor I really want to talk about is the Knicks' depth. The Knicks have several guys coming off the bench that help to keep the Knicks' offense afloat, with Julius Randle and RJ Barrett sit. We've already talked about the work of Knicks' 6-man Derrick Rose, but Immanuel Quickley has also been a huge factor. Quickley is currently averaging 12 points per game for the Knicks in just 20 minutes a game. He's not only a knockdown shooter, but he can make plays for himself and others off the dribble extremely well. His floater game is extremely good, able to knock it down at a high level as long as he gets within 12 feet of the basket. Another guy who's been huge for the Knicks off the bench is Alec Burks. He was out for a stretch due to health and safety protocols, but when he's healthy, he's a reliable source of offense for the Knicks' second unit. He's a knockdown shooter from outside, and he's really good at breaking down defenders and creating mid-range shots for himself. He's also very clutch, as Thibodeau often closes games with Burks, and he's proven that he can hit clutch shots. Lastly, let's talk about Taj Gibson. Somehow, even at 35, he's still a reliable backup big man. He's still a strong rebounder and defender, and he's skilled on the offensive end. Especially with the injury to Mitch, the Knicks wouldn't be where they are without him. Anyway, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Before the season started, a bold prediction would have been that the Knicks make the playoffs. But with the Knicks potentially having home court advantage in the first round, it's not unreasonable to think that the Knicks could get to the second round of the playoffs, which would be an incredible achievement, especially for a team that's been out of the playoffs for 7 straight years. What do you think of the Knicks' success this season, and how far do you think they could go in the playoffs? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.